Welcome to the Nerd List, Episode 2. I'm John.
And this is Shawn.
And we're here once again to bring you a list of top 10 something or other. Today we're going to be talking about horror movies, our top 10 list of favorite horror movies. Now, these aren't necessarily our rankings of the scariest, but these are just our personal favorites. Some of the reason might be because it's scary. Some of them might just be other personal reasons. And we will get into that more in our discussion.
That's horror movies. Horror. Not horror movies. Horror movies.
Horror. How did I say it?
I'm just making sure everybody knows that we're not talking about porn or anything.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate you clearing that up. Those two sound a lot alike. I guess I'll start us off this time since you started last time. And number 10 on my list is a lot of people don't think of this, I guess, necessarily as a horror movie. I definitely do. It's one of the first, monster movies ever made, and that would be King Kong. Now, and I'm talking about the original version done in, I want to say it was the 30s or 20s.
Oh, yeah, the black and white.
Black and white
dinosaur. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say 30s. Okay, and one of the things, the reason, I guess, this one for me, because of course the first time I saw it, I was real little, and it always stuck in my mind. It was like burned in my mind. All the scenes where he would step on somebody and leave that footprint, and their bodies would still be in there. And all the way growing up, I would have dreams about King Kong and Godzilla, King Kong especially, somehow getting killed in my dreams multiple times by King Kong. And so that movie obviously touched me to the core all the way, throughout the rest of my life from seeing it as a young kid. So definitely King Kong had to make it on my list.
Oh, absolutely, John. I totally agree with you. It's not in my list, but man, every time that show is on, I watch it. The graphics are horrible with today's standards, but I mean, it is really an amazing, amazing movie. And you get to feel for King Kong toward the end of it. When he's in New York, but I mean, absolutely. I mean, what could be more scary than a huge 100-foot gorilla wiping people out? Seriously, yeah, absolutely.
And one of the things that I really liked about that is because, like you mentioned, it was the stop-motion animation, and I remember going back and watching it later and realizing how the hair on him would move because, the animators had to touch him and then move him a little bit and then take frame shots each time they moved him, but it created this effect where the hair that was on his body would move every time they touched him, so it looked like his hair was being blown in the wind, so it seemed like a fine detail that I doubt was meant to be there, but was neat nonetheless.
Kind of makes me wonder if a gorilla could actually take a dinosaur, though. I mean, really.
A 50-foot one, maybe.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I guess you're right. They are pretty strong.
And then you have T-Rex he had tiny, man-sized arms on this ginormous body, so it's not like he couldn't do much but bite, and I guess King Kong could bite and use his strong arms. I guess I'd have to give the advantage to the 50-foot gorilla.
My number 10 is it's a cult classic. Made the 1980s, and actually a couple of my movies that I have on my list do involve Mr. Corey Haim. But my number 10 is The Lost Boys, the surfer vampire movie with Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, Kiefer Sutherland, among others. And one scene just absolutely sticks out in my mind. Whenever those surfers are on the beach having their party and those vampires attack them, and I can see it in my mind, that vampire that has that guy in a headlock and is just sucking on his head, and it just creeped me out. And my mom used to make me watch it, and then she would come into my room at night with her eyes wide open. A great movie. One of the first movies I saw with actual vampire dogs, which really kind of creeped me out. But, the vampires, I mean, some of them can walk around during the day. Never understood that, but, I mean, creepy. Great movie.
Lost Boys, I never saw that one. I still have not seen it. I keep hearing good things about it. And I heard that the new one that they recently made, the sequel, I guess, wasn't very good. But it had me interested, wanting to see it. And the other day I saw it at Walmart for $7.50 or something like that. And I almost picked it up. And out of curiosity, because I keep hearing such good things about it. So you're going to have to let me borrow that one. and see it.
No problem.
All right, next one is number 9. My number 9 is Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Freddy Krueger for me growing up was it with horror. He was like the icon of the 80s, I guess, for horror to me. Maybe other people heard it saw it differently. But growing up, I guess in my younger years, I definitely wasn't allowed to see horror movies. And whenever I catch a glimpse, either on TV or whatever, of Freddy Krueger, I thought he was the coolest looking thing. The glove with the blades on him, I thought that was so neat. And so it really got me curious and wanting to see. And it wasn't until probably high school that I actually got to see a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And to tell you the truth, I like the first two. I think the rest were garbage. And I think that's true with a lot of the iconic ones that they went over the top with all the sequels. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween. I think the first few are usually pretty solid, and then they just get really bad after that. And Nightmare on Elm Street was one of those. I really liked the first one, but the second one, I think it seemed like to me upped the action. The part that really sticks out in my mind is where he kind of goes to that, they're having like a pool party out in the backyard of someone's house, and he goes through and just starts wasting people. And that's the part that really sticks out in my mind. And I just love Freddy Krueger. I love how he has the wit about him, but at the same time, you know you're about to die, but he'll make some kind of crack about how he's going to kill you, and turn it into kind of a joke. Like, wow, you are sick that you can joke about killing somebody like that. So.
It's kind of interesting that you say that, because if you notice in the first one, he doesn't have very much humor about him. He really develops the humor in the second one, and you're absolutely right. It makes it a lot scarier when he has the humor and that wit about him, and that funny thing that he says after he kills somebody that makes the audience kind of chuckle. It definitely is a lot scarier. You're absolutely right. Okay, I guess we're on my number 9 now?
You're number 9.
My number 9, I'm probably going to get laughed at for this, but it was a movie that when I saw it and then I walked outside and I had to look up in the sky, and it just kind of creeped me out. It's Jeepers Creepers 2. This movie just kind of creeped me out, I guess being a coach and everything, when the bus breaks down, and first of all the coach gets taken away, then the bus driver gets taken away, and then the little trainer gets taken away, and then all that's left is the kids, and he's kind of just torments, all that stuff. It just really creeped me out. And at the very first of the movie, when he's a scarecrow, and he's sitting up there and he looks at the kid and looks back, and you can kind of see it in the distance. Oh, this gives me chills every time I think about it. It was a great movie. Just, scary, scary, scary.
Yeah, that's another one I liked. In fact, I never saw the first Jeepers Creepers. I had heard multiple times that, like, mixed reviews from my friends, that some would say it was pretty good, some would say it was garbage, and so I never, I guess, I got really excited to see it. And one time I caught the second one on TV, and I really liked it. It was like you're saying, it seemed creepy to me. The whole idea. I mean, anytime you're stranded somewhere away from help, that's just scary in itself. And then you have this creature that has you pinned inside of a bus, trying to break in and take you, and with superhuman powers, strength and stuff. And that was creepy. And I think they did a good job in making him look creepy. And I rarely see that in horror movies where they have some kind of monster or creature. I think a lot of times they fail miserably at making them look genuinely scary. I think they did a pretty good job on Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, I think my favorite line in that movie is whenever that guy's on the radio and he says, "Are you close?" And the guy says, "Yeah, I'm close to crapping my pants." That's funny to me. I don't know.
I don't remember that specifically. Like I said, I only saw it once, like all from start to finish, and then I've seen like parts of it several times. So. Okay, number 8 now. My number 8 is it's a foreign movie, Japanese movie. I don't have any other Japanese horror movies on here, but it's one called A Tale of Two Sisters. And I don't really remember exactly how the plot went. I remember that it was pretty complicated. It kind of reminded me somewhat of, I want to say, The Uninvited, where like one of the sisters was dead, but you didn't know it. But I think in that movie they did a lot with building up, who the characters were from the beginning, so you became invested in who the characters were, and they would kind of give you hints something wasn't right, and they'd have moments with just some kind of ghostly creepiness that would happen, and it would just kind of stick with you. And that's what I love about movies, is where they do something that's not just a one-time jump-out scare, make you flinch in your seat, jump, but it's ones that will leave you thinking and creeped out, and that picture will stick with you in your head. And I thought this movie did a great job of that, and I really wish I could remember exactly what happened in the story. It was, like I said, first of all, they're speaking Japanese, and I'm reading subtitles while I'm watching, and so it was kind of hard to follow. But I remember it was a pretty good twist that they had at the end there. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I definitely recommend going to see this movie and checking it out. Very good in the way of scares, very good in the way of story also.
I've actually never seen this movie. I am aware of it, and I know that it's on a lot of horror buffs list. And I do want to watch it, but I haven't got a chance to see it yet. Something about subtitles that just kind of turns me off. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for my number 8?
I'm ready for your number 8.
My number 8 is the first of a couple that I have on this list, Stephen King movies. It's Silver Bullet, the werewolf movie with Corey Haim, and Gary Busey is his crazy uncle. And what I liked about the story is Corey Haim was in a wheelchair, and that made it kind of, harder for the hero to, succeed and everything. But he's in a wheelchair, he's kind of rebellious, and his uncle gives him fireworks and everything. And the town starts noticing that people are dying, of course, after dark. And so they can't figure out why, and they send a search party out because they think it's a wild animal. So this lynch mob goes out into the forest to try to find this thing. And while they're out there, this werewolf just starts devouring people. And one scene, they're sitting in this kind of fog area, and the werewolf's in there with them. And there's like 5 or 6 guys there, and he just starts, mauling people, arms flying everywhere. And one guy has this club, and all you see is the club, and you see the guy's hand hitting the werewolf with it. And all of a sudden, you see the werewolf has the club, and he's beating the fire out of the guy with it, and there's blood dripping off the club and everything else. It just scared the bejesus out of me. And one part I loved about it is Corey Haim is actually out playing with fireworks, and he gets attacked by the werewolf. Well, he shoots a bottle rocket into the werewolf's eye, and kind of gets away and everything. And then the next day, he's out working, helping his sister gather cans for the church, and he sees the preacher, and there's the preacher with the eye patch over his eye, so they know who the werewolf is. It's scary as all get out. Probably should have been higher on my list, because this movie really affected me. I lost many nights of sleep with it.
This is another one I have not seen. I don't have a whole lot to say on it. I know this is another one that I've heard of, that I've heard is one of the better, if not, some said the best werewolf movie. So I'm very curious to see it. I know you're a bigger fan of werewolves than I am. I like werewolves, but I'll take vampires over werewolves usually. You're the other way around, right?
Oh yeah, vampires would not have a chance against werewolves.
Yeah, well, definitely not the Twilight sparkle in the sun vampires. Yeah, my wife is all into that. Seen it twice already. Opening midnight showing and the very next day. They're the day of, I guess.
Well, I guess we got our Twilight hit in there, so everybody can enjoy that.
Twilight. There you go. Not giving it anymore. Okay, have we done my number 8? I'm on
yes.
7.
You started out, yes.
Okay, 7 is actually one that I just saw recently, and it's sad that I just now got around to it. It is Dawn of the Dead, the original 1978 one. For actually the first zombie movie, real, I guess, all-out zombie movie I ever saw was the remake of Dawn of the Dead. And I loved it. It was probably... it's very sentimental to me as one of the zombie movies, because I can honestly say zombie media is my favorite. My favorite video games are the Left 4 Dead games. And so... but this since I recently saw the original Dawn of the Dead, it was better than what, I'd always heard people talk about how good it was. George A. Romero is dead on with it. I had seen Night of the Living Dead, and I was really impressed with what he did there in the black and white. That one from the 60s, I really loved it. And then Dawn of the Dead was just the idea of being in a mall and all the things that you could do and just surviving in there while the zombie attack is going on. It's just a neat idea to think of. And then there makes me, the other game that's kind of related to that is that Dead Rising on the 360. Mm-hmm. Have you ever played that?
I sure have. Great game.
As fun. And so that kind of lets you live out that thing, which is really neat. But and I was watching it the other day with my wife, and there were, the zombies are so slow moving, not like 28 Days or the newer Dawn of the Dead where they take off sprinting at you. No matter what kind of situation it is, these zombies in the original Dawn of the Dead are stumbling around, just making it slow. And so I think it's legitimately scary once someone gets in a situation where you think, oh, they're about to get caught. Because you're like, how did you let yourself get in this position to get eaten by these slow, stupid moving things, And so I think that adds an extra element of fear in there, because once you are in that position where you're about to get caught, it's pretty hopeless when you are not going to be able to do anything against these slow moving things. Mm-hmm. And there were several times in that movie where my wife, she gets super invested in movies, and she just started, oh no, get away! Just started freaking out in multiple times. So that was pretty neat watching. Great movie.
I agree with you. It's something about the slow moving zombies that it's creepy. It really is. Now, don't get me wrong. I would much rather have the slow moving zombies after me than the sprinting zombies. But yeah, you're right. And it's sheer number. It's not just one. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. My number 7, and oh man, another movie that just cost me nights and nights and nights of sleep. Relatively new was The Exorcism of Emily Rose. And it's just something about demons that just scares. Demons. To say it, it's just scary. But Emily Rose, oh wow, what a freaky movie. And she gets in there and they're trying to exorcise these demons out of her and all this stuff. And the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I quote it and quote it and quote it. It was so creepy. And I forget what time they wake up. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning or something. It has to be the exact time. And I totally forgot what the time was. But I knew that night after I saw that movie that I was going to wake up at that exact time and see that clock. And sure enough, I did. And I guess it was in my psyche or something, but I did. Man, that movie was, oh, God, it was intense. And I liked the other Exorcists really a lot, but this movie to me, it just topped it off. She's trying to grab the cross and she's bent over backwards. Wow, wow, you actually see the fight that the girl is having with the demon. It totally creeped me out.
I just looked it up on the internet here, and it says that the time was 3 a.m. Yeah. 3 a.m. in the morning, because that's like supposed to be, they say it's called the Devil's Door, like when Satan can, is most active, because, it's usually thought of that, I guess, traditionally, that the hour that Jesus died was 3 p.m.
Right.
So I guess that's the opposite time. But I remember seeing this, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, when it first came out. I remember I rented it right away, and I didn't care for it at all. I can't remember a whole lot about it, but I remember watching it and being bored, and I forgot all about it. I don't even remember much, anything about it, really. I've heard a couple other people say that they really liked it other than you, so I'm going to have to go back and give that one another try. But I definitely don't remember liking it at all. So, I don't know. I'll have to go back and give it another try. Number 6 now. And we talked about this one before, and you said you couldn't stand this one. Eraserhead. David Lynch, the director, and this guy, he's an artist. Very weird stuff that he does. Even his comedy. He has this one comedy that he does with these cowboys and a French guy. Very weird, but also thought very funny. For some reason, he strikes a chord with me in a lot of the stuff that he does. And this movie, it was kind of hard to follow. It's basically like some post-apocalyptic world, and the main character, Henry, I think is his name, he ends up having to marry this girl because I guess he gets her pregnant. And the kid, like, is very freaky looking, and the whole bottom half of his body is like wrapped in this gauze mummy type stuff, and just has a weird looking head. And just the images that this guy puts in this movie are disturbing to no end. And there's like this lady that like lives in his radiator who sings this weird song while these like slugs are falling from worm type things, like falling from the sky. It is just the weirdest movie. And after I watched it, I didn't know what to think. Like, my mind was playing over what I saw over and over, trying to come to a decision about this movie, and I finally decided that I loved it. I've never had a movie like that. Usually if I have to think about it, whether or not I like it, I didn't like it. This one, I don't know, just I guess it was so creepy. Overall, the images that were put on in this movie really stuck with me, and I've decided that I love it. It's one of my favorites. So Eraserhead. If you haven't seen it, check it out. You're either going to completely hate it or you're going to completely love it.
You had told me about this movie a couple of months ago, and then I was laying in bed one night about midnight, flipping through the channels, and there it was. It was on. So I started watching it. It was about 30 minutes into the movie, and I just could not follow it. I could not follow it. It was very weird. It seemed like it was kind of up and down to me, but I mean, yeah, it was definitely disturbing. I'll give you that. But I guess I couldn't follow it, and that's really why I guess I couldn't like it.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It was hard to follow, and I kind of had to, like I said, figure it out after the fact, after I watched it, and it kind of started to make more sense to me. But man, they did it. Whatever he did, the stuff that he created, it just is like burned in my mind.
Okay, well, my number 6 is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Not the original. The original was great. I loved it. But the one that came out, I guess, in 2003 with Jessica Biel. And this was the first movie that I had really ever seen where the carnage and the violence was really stepped up. I mean, I never liked the Saws. I really couldn't get into them. But this movie and this part just sticks out in my head whenever the guy's running and he gets his leg chopped off with the chainsaw. And I know we've talked about this before, and it's horrible when he packs his leg with that salt, just rubs it in so the bleeding stops, and then hangs him on that meat hook. I mean, this is something that, could actually happen. And just to see that, it was horrible. And, she tries to get him off the hook and she can't do it, and there's this giant, mentally disturbed thing with no face that wears her boyfriend's face running around with a chainsaw. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. I would hate to find myself in that situation. It was just horrible and disturbing and everything else, but what a good movie.
I definitely agree with you. And when I saw this movie, I was in college, and I went and saw it at the drive-in over there in Lubbock. And so you're in Texas, out in West Texas, very remote, out in the middle of this field, and watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it just added an extra element to it and made it that much scarier, that much creepier to me. I agree with you. This was an excellent movie. I don't have this remake on my list, but I loved it. Like you talk about, that part was definitely the one that stuck out on my mind, the chopped off leg and the salt being rubbed on it. And I can't remember if it was this one or if it was the other one, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Beginning or Begins. What was it?
It was The Beginning, yeah.
The Beginning. I can't remember if it was this one or that one, where he's like opening up the girl's boyfriend. I think it's this one. And she's like under the table, underneath. And that was a very intense part to me too.
Oh, yeah.
Or she was trying to...
I actually believe that was The Beginning. And yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That was very, very disturbing.
Okay. Yeah, good movie. Number 5 then. My number 5 is a recent one, pretty new one. Sam Raimi movie, Drag Me to Hell. First time I guess I was really introduced to Sam Raimi was not through his Evil Dead series or Army of Darkness. Well, actually, I guess it was Army of Darkness. I had seen most of Army of Darkness several times, and I really liked it. But then after that, I guess where I really got, I guess, more familiar with his work was the Spider-Man movies, of course. Being a huge Spider-Man fan, I caught all those movies, which he directed, and I got used to his style, his sense of humor from those. When I had seen the Evil Deads after, and then I went and saw Drag Me to Hell in the theater, and it just had Sam Raimi written all over it. His very true to the way he directed all those other ones, the sense of humor that's in it. You know, it's a horror movie, but he always puts in some funny parts, some little goofy bits that add to it, that give you a little break in the scare. And the movies that scare me the most are not the slasher movies, but they're the I guess the ghost stuff, and when you keep stuff kind of hidden and unknown. Have you seen this movie, Shawn?
I have. It is creepy. It's a very creepy movie. It really is.
Okay, the part that got me, like, I guess had me the most tense in my chair was where she was in the house. I guess after I think she sacrificed the cat to try and get rid of it, and it was before. This is what made her kill the cat. Was like she sees the shadow of like this demon thing coming up the stairs, and then she goes, shuts the door, she closes it, and she sees the foot, like the hooves of the demon thing, like standing in front of her door. The Lamarcky, I can't remember what it's called. It starts with an L, and that part where she gets tossed around the room, that was super scary. It had me super tense in my seat because I was thinking, I'm about to see it, and you just saw the outline, which looked creepy enough in itself. And I just thought that was an excellent movie. The humor and the fear involved in it both just made that a great movie all around.
Yeah, very, very good. Another one of those disturbing movies that really kind of makes you lay awake at night and just wonder what the heck, you know. Very, very good movie. My number 5 is my second Stephen King movie on the list, and people are going to hear it and say, "Oh, man, that's really not that scary. It's not that scary." But to me, it was. It was a great movie. It was The Mist with Tom Jane. Oh man, when they're sitting there in that rinkety convenience store and that mist rolls in, which I don't really think is mist. I think it's actually fog. But it rolls in and there's all those whatever they are, the gigantic bugs, the spiders with the little acid webs and all that stuff. Creepy, creepy, creepy. But the two things that stand out in this movie that made me really like it was the religious nut job girl that was going nuts and had everybody believe in her before it's said and done. To me, was actually scarier than the actual monsters. And, you know, it kind of shows that what people will do in a time of crisis. And, of course, the best part of this movie is the ending. The fact that, you know, he did what every one of us would have done if we were in the same situation. And just to see the tanks rolling in at the end and everything okay, and he's just done what he's done. Oh, wow. What an amazing movie.
Yeah, I saw this one, rented it, and saw it with my wife, Jennifer. And the whole time through, I'm thinking, this is a pretty good movie. This is, I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was over-the-top scary. I thought it was a fun movie, and I kept wanting to see Tom Jane go out and go punish her on all the creatures, but she never did. But, yeah, the ending is what really made this movie for me. When those tanks started rolling in and we saw that was like the rescue party coming, Jennifer and I, we just like looked at each other with dropped open mouths. We couldn't believe it. We were like, oh my gosh. And the ending definitely made that movie. It was good. Number 4 then? Number 4. And this, sticking with my, it being ghosts, I think being usually the scarier movies to me as opposed to the slasher movies. A classic, it's The Shining. The Shining is to me. I saw it. I've seen it several times. This movie I own now. When I first saw it, I liked it. It wasn't one of my favorites on the top of the list. I liked it, and I just love Jack. I've always liked Jack Nicholson ever since the first time I guess I really saw him in anything was as the Joker and Batman, and I liked him ever since then. And then I saw The Shining, and liked that, and just love Jack Nicholson again. Can't say that enough. One of my favorite actors. And went back and saw it in college, and that's when it cemented its place for me as being one of my top favorite horror movies. I think it definitely sets up a creepiness in there. I guess it's kind of a mix between a ghost and a slasher, even though I kind of picked it up as a ghost because, of course, you got the Here's Johnny, where he's trying to cut up his family. But I just thought overall throughout the movie is just creepy in different ways. The way the hotel is just kind of tormenting him, and he has when Shelley Duvall takes a look at those papers and sees it. He's just been writing over and over again, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, over and over. I remember seeing that for the first time. I was like, whoa, that just kind of sent a shiver down my spine. Well, probably wouldn't a lot of people. Probably they're kind of like, oh, okay, that's an interesting plot twist, but for me, it really, really struck a chord with me. So what do you think about this one?
Well, it's definitely a great movie, and if I would have had 11 spots on my list, I definitely would have put it in there. I actually had a hard time between this one and Lost Boys. Great. Oh, man, what a good movie. You're absolutely right. Only Jack Nicholson, who is creepy in and of itself, could have pulled that off. Oh, the red rum, all that stuff. Oh, wonderful, wonderful movie. The Frozen at the end. I mean, wow. The two little girls on the little creepy. You're right. Shelley really ruined this movie for me. I thought her facial features in this movie were horrible. And every time I saw her, I just wanted to laugh. I'm just like, shut your mouth, woman. Man. But, oh, man, Jack Nicholson, by far, one of the best performances I've ever seen. It's pretty much everything he plays in is the best performance I've ever seen. But great movie. Just creepy as all get out.
Yeah, I think my wife has a natural aversion to Shelley Duvall also because she doesn't like The Shining, and I don't understand it because I like it so much, but she doesn't really care for it at all. And then I made her sit down and watch the original the Popeye movie with Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall as Olive Oyl.
Yeah.
And she hated that movie. I gotta admit, I don't think it's one of the better movies of all time either, but she bugs me to this day. She tried it for about the first 30 minutes of the movie. She just rolled over and slept while I watched the rest. But yeah, she doesn't like Shelley Duvall either. So.
All right, my number 4. Classic. You can pretty much take your pick of the first or second one, but I like the second one because there's a lot more action in it. It's the Aliens. The Alien series, number 2, Aliens. Sigourney Weaver, Michael Biehn, Lance Henriksen, all those cats, Bill Paxton. Wonderful movie, and it's just something about a creature that pops out of your chest that just really creeps me out. I had to lay with a pillow over my face forever because I was afraid one of those stinking face-hugger aliens was going to get on my face and lay an egg in my chest. Wonderful movie, and this movie was made in 1986, and the graphics of this movie today are still second to none. To me, one of the greatest, not only horror movies, but science fiction movies of all time. Loved it when she gets in the big machine and fights the Queen Alien at the end. Just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful movie.
Yeah, I'm getting all my Aliens movies mixed up. Is this at the end? Are they blowing up like a ship or something or a base and having to get out?
Yeah, they have to blow up the planet and they go back up in the mothership after all the aliens they think are dead. And the little robot's there, and he gets ripped in half, and she has to get in that big machine and fight it.
Okay, yeah, I definitely remember the climactic battle scene at the end where she's fighting it. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking of the third one. I have all my Aliens movies mixed up, but what I remember from Aliens was, the first Alien, I remember that I loved how they set up the hopelessness, that it's just her and this creature. And she's in space. There's not a whole lot she can do. There's nowhere she can go. No one can hear you scream.
Yeah.
The tagline of the movie has to do with the atmosphere, not necessarily that there's no one around. I guess kind of both. But anyway, I love that movie, but it looked like a person in a suit. It really did in that first one. And
that's kind of why the first one didn't get the vote. The second one was the one I liked.
Right. I think the second one is where they fixed that and they made the creature look awesome, look very believable, look very good. I think I liked the first one better despite the suit, but then again, the way they fixed it in the second one and they continued with that look through the rest of them. Second one is awesome also. We on number 3 now? My number 3?
Number 3.
My number 3 is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I guess this one gets vote for me because growing up, I always heard that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was based on a true story. And so I believed it for a long time that this was actual fact. There was a family that killed people with chainsaws and turned them into barbecue. And I lived in Texas, so this creeped me out like no other. One of my favorite parts of this movie is where he has that sliding door that goes down to his cellar.
Oh yeah.
Where he works on the people. Well, I can't remember if he's following somebody out or someone comes to one of the guys come to the door and he opens it or comes out right behind him and just clobbers him over the head with like a hammer or something. And the guy just drops quick, hits the ground hard, and he just casually grabs him like a piece of meat, throws him back there, and slams the door. There's no like music really in the background. There's no spike, no like they would in a lot of today's movies where they try to make that jump out scare. It was pretty silent. The only noise you really heard was the sliding of the door and the guy getting hit. And I thought that was so effective and creepy. The way they just ended it with the door closing, you're like, what's behind there? Where did he just go? What's going to happen to this guy? And I love this movie for that reason. And then it continued like the one that you had on your list with the remake. I believed it all the way up to college that all of this was based on true story. You know how they have the black and white of the remake?
Oh yeah.
I really thought that was what an idiot I was, but I really thought that was footage that they found from this. And then I went home and like researched over the internet and found out that there was never any family that killed people with chainsaws and ate them.
You probably slept better after you found that out, didn't you?
I did.
Great. What a wonderful movie. You're absolutely right. Part that stands out to me is the chase scene that lasts about 45 minutes of the movie when the girl's running. I mean, they probably did a little much of the chase scene, but I mean, I loved it. It really gets you going. You wonder if she's going to make it. You really behind the hero and everything else. But you're right. I mean, wow, what a part. The thud. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Wonderful movie.
And then she gets away, and there's like the setting or rising sun. That's probably rising because I think the chase scene was mostly at night. And he's just there like in despair that she got away, like spinning around in circles with the chainsaw still going.
Oh yeah.
That's good. Good way to end.
Okay, number 3 for me. Gonna get back on the zombie topic for a minute. 28 Weeks Later. Oh, I don't know why I like this movie so much. A lot like Dawn of the Dead with the zombies running, everything else. I guess I really kind of got attached to the hero in this, that sniper marine that they had, the army guy or whatever he was. Just I love this movie, and I love the fact that the guy came in, the girl had been caught. I mean, the first of the movie you start out with just insane zombie attack, mauling everybody, and the husband has to leave his wife behind, and she's just getting mauled by these zombies. Or I guess they're zombies. They're really not zombies. It's kind of an infection they have. They're actually not dead. But I mean, wonderful way to start a movie. He gets away, and they're chasing him down, and you can tell he's just running out of breath. But he makes it to the boat, and then he makes it to the city, and then the wife ends up surviving the attack, and she's carrying the virus. And he comes in and he kisses her, and just all hell breaks loose again, and it spreads, and there's the 10,000 or whatever people in that room, and it spreads like a wildfire, and they can't contain it. You never can. Zombies are always going to win, and it just goes insane. And the guy with the sniper rifle is just blowing heads off. Body parts are flying everywhere. Just loved it. And I liked it because this is one of the few horror movies that I actually got my fiance to go see with me. She hates horror movies, and we told her it wasn't that scary. And now every time I even mention it, she can't sleep. It was just, I loved it. I loved it. I had to sleep with the TV on for 2 weeks just because of her, because she was so creeped out.
Again, this is a great zombie movie. It is excellent. And apparently for the casting of this movie, they didn't let you be an extra as a zombie unless you could run a 10-second flat 100.
No kidding.
Because I know at the beginning where they're chasing that guy and he's heading out to the river to get away, those zombies look so fast behind him. And I could just imagine I would give up, because I was like, regardless of whether I'm faster than them or not, which I'm not going to be, I know I'm not going to have more endurance than them. I am out of shape. I'm not going to make this boat. I probably would have laid down or ran full speed into a tree and just knocked myself out and let them have me.
You know what's amazing about the movie is it seems like, it kind of goes away from most of your zombie movies when the zombies are wanting to eat people. These zombies just want to hurt you. They want to inflict as much pain on you as they can by jabbing your eyes out when you're stuck in a chair or whatever. I mean, just insanely violent zombies.
True. And speaking of insanely violent, I love the part towards the end where they're out in that field and the helicopter comes and just mows them down. It turns, it kind of goes on its side where the helicopter blades are pointing down and just chops them up. Love that part.
The best possible ending is the zombie outbreak in France. I mean, what else could you want as an American than the zombies mauling France?
Yeah, it was good stuff. I remember getting a chuckle out of that at the end. All right, number 2 for me, and staying on your zombie topic. I don't know if you've seen this one. I bet you've probably seen the American remake. I don't know how to say this movie because it's REC in brackets, kind of like the record symbol on a camera. And this was a movie made in Spain, so the movie's all in Spanish with subtitles. I can do pretty well watching it without the subtitles because I understand Spanish very well. But this movie, again, is another zombie movie, and it's kind of on the idea of 28 Days Later, where the zombiness isn't necessarily being undead or, dead and coming back type thing. It is some kind of almost like mutation of the rabies with dogs, and it gets into the humans, and the humans start freaking out and acting weird, become hard to kill. And this movie it starts out slow. It looks like, for any of you who have seen the remake, it's Quarantine. And Quarantine, it follows almost scene to scene, almost exactly the same with this movie. I think the original did it a little bit better, especially with the ending. The ending of this original is way better than the ending of Quarantine. The zombie at the end, the main zombie at the end in the attic area or the top floor, is 100 times creepier in the original than it is in the American remake. But it starts out really slow, building up this reporter who's going to just do a everyday life in a fire department. Going through just showing what it's like at a fire department. She has her cameraman there following her as she's interviewing people, following them on a normal night of work. And they go to this call, and one person is just acting really weird. They've heard strange noises. They go up there to investigate, and this crazy lady who ends up biting one of them and taking a huge chunk out of this person's neck. And they come back down, decide to get away from her, kind of get the other person some help, and they find that they've been trapped inside this building. They've been quarantined off, and they can't get out. And I'm not going to recap the whole movie. It looks like some of you probably thinking that's what I was about to do. Sean's getting probably annoyed. He's like, wow, he's really going to tell the whole movie. But no, I'm going to stop right there. And just definitely one of my. I debated with this one being my number one or being my number two. But this, I can't say enough good things about this movie, especially the original. Quarantine, I liked, but this REC Record, I think is way better.
Well, I have seen Quarantine, and I did think it was a pretty good movie. I have not heard or seen this REC movie, but it sounds like I probably need to, because I do love zombies, and I love the whole being trapped and not being able to escape. It does sound good.
They're coming out with a second one, which I'm really excited about here in the next few months. REC2, whatever. I think it has the same director. It's also going to be in Spanish, but I think it's coming out to the American theaters, so I'm really pumped up, excited about it.
Okay, my number two, and I'm going to change this around because I have a feeling my number two is your number one. So I'm going to change it around and move my 2 to 1, 1 to 2, which I can do because they're both extremely, extremely scary movies. But my number two, which I cannot believe did not make it on your list, I really can't, is The Silence of the Lambs. What a movie. And this movie is so creepy because it can absolutely 100% happen, has happened, will happen, everything else, And what's so creepy about it, isn't the guy, Buffalo Bill, who's, killing the women and making the, wearing the makeup and put the lotion on your skin and all that guy. He was creepy. Don't get me wrong. The whole scene where he tucks his junk under. Oh, ugh. Gross movie.
You would pick out that part.
Yeah, it's one of those parts that sticks out. But it's the part with Anthony Hopkins. I mean, Anthony Hopkins, golly, what a great actor. And he creeps you out. And he's talking to her and he plays these mind games with her. And he's so much smarter than everybody else. And then he gets away. And he beats the crap out of the 4 or whatever, 6 guards. And when he puts that guy's face on and gets out, to me, if there's one line from a movie, a scene from a movie that will stick in my head and scare me more than anything else, it's that one line where he's wearing that guy's face and he gets out and he gets free. Horrible. I saw Hannibal. I thought Hannibal was good. I saw Red Dragon. I thought it was okay. But Silence of the Lambs, one of those movies. Oh, it puts the lotion on its skin. Oh, man. And then Anthony Hopkins, oh, man, just those things that creep me out. And one of the few movies I've seen, actually, when I kind of watch online, or watch TV, has actually gotten 4 stars. Wonderful, wonderful movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Get scared, be scared. Wonderful movie.
Silence of the Lambs is a good one. I like all of the Hannibal Lecter series. The idea that this cannibal he's a cannibal. He kills people and eats them. That's creepy in itself, but he's a genius. He is ridiculously smart, most likely smarter than you, whoever you are that's trying to outsmart him and get away from him. He's going to get you because he's a genius. I love all those movies. Silence of the Lambs is great. Hannibal is great. I can't remember Red Dragon too much. I know I saw it, but I can't remember it. One that I remember more than Red Dragon is, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's Manhunter. It was actually the first in the Hannibal Lecter series, and the guy who originally played Hannibal Lecter, the bad guy in X-Men 2, what's his name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Stryker?
Stryker, yeah, Stryker. He played Hannibal Lecter in this movie Manhunter, and it was made in the 80s, and it was the first movie that had to do with Hannibal Lecter, and it basically was Red Dragon. Red Dragon was the name of the novel that was turned into the movie Manhunter, and then they remade Manhunter and called it the novel's original name. So,
scary music there in the background.
It's scary music. It's my phone going off. It's my dad calling. My family's coming in.
Number ones.
Okay.
And I'd be willing to bet that your number one is the same as my number one.
You think so?
I do. It better be. It better be.
I don't think it is, because I don't think it is, because I don't think you've seen this one.
Well, it's probably not then.
It's one that I came in trumping up a lot. Do you have, not recently?
Huh. Well, give it to me.
Paranormal Activity.
Oh, I haven't seen it. You're right.
And a lot of people maybe wouldn't agree with me, but I see a lot of people who have different views on this. A lot of people say it wasn't scary at all, didn't like it, and then a bunch of other people who loved it. And for me, this is the movie that I wanted to make. Okay, I like to make movies and videos on the side. I did it all throughout college. I'm still trying to do it now if I can ever get my actors to cooperate.
Jerks.
They're jerks, I know. And but this, I mean, a lot of the stuff in this movie is ideas that I've had from my movies, leaving it creepy, building up this suspense, just like they did. Not a whole lot of necessarily like jump scares, which there are a good share of those. But it's things that I think are just downright creepy and that stick with you in your mind. I know it scared the mess out of my wife, and she couldn't sleep.
It is.
And there's my phone again. She couldn't sleep for like days, a couple weeks after this movie, unless I was there with her. I know one night we had a football game, and she was not going to sleep until I got home. I got home really late. She went to sleep, and I went and took. Oh, well, she went to sleep when I went to take a shower. And so when I came back out, she was conked out on the bed. I ran and I jumped and made the bed bounce as much as I could, and she shot up. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! She was freaking out. I've never seen her so hysterical in my life. And of course, when she realized it was me, she looked at me. She just slugged the crap out of my arm. It was terrible. Oh, and then the night that we got back from watching this movie, it's all about ghosts and the stuff that the ghost is kind of doing in the house. We were going to sleep that night. We turn off the lights, and as soon as we do, there's like this thud in the house. And Jennifer and I, neither of us said anything to each other. She gets up, turns on the fan, and gets back in bed. And then we wake up the next morning. I was like, so when we were going to bed, did you hear a sound? And she goes, yeah, did you? And I said, yeah. Was it a thud? She said, yep. I was like, why didn't you say anything about it? She's like, you didn't say anything about it either. I was like, yeah, no. And she goes, that's why I got up and turned up the fan, to drown out any more sounds. So,
I have not seen. I am so excited to see this movie. I've heard great, really, really, really great reviews of this movie, and everybody that's seen it has just said it was beyond scary, and I cannot wait to see it.
I'll get the DVD. I'll get it in Blu-ray whenever it comes out, and have you over.
That sounds good. You know what, John? I'm very upset with you. I really am.
Well,
because my number one movie.
You're probably going to say this, and I'll kick myself for not.
And, wow. This movie is, without a doubt, the scariest movie I've ever seen in my life. Dun, dun.
Oh.
Dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Jaws!
Yes, I had this
Jaws!
one. I had this one on my list. I had it on at number 9, actually. They got booted out. I'm going to put this other one on.
Jaws. I mean, wow. A great white 30-foot shark that just eats everybody in the water. This movie affected me so much that I did not get in the ocean until I was 25 years old. This movie is the movie of all movies. Scary as crap. Oh man. And the actors in it. Oh, the actors were perfect. Richard Dreyfuss, what was the guy's name? The Punisher's dad, Schneider. And, of course, Quint, who was awesome. The guy with the huge sideburns, the only movie he was ever in. This wonderful, wonderful movie. Man, it just set the precedent for all movies to come, all shark movies to come. I mean, will never be topped. Still looks great. Yeah, it's a giant robotic shark, but it still looks great. And all 4 of the movies in this series were good. But the first one, I think we're going to need a bigger boat. Oh, what an amazing, amazing, amazing movie.
Yeah, I definitely. I had this one on my list, and it's an excellent movie. Definitely had me scared about the water. And The thing is, I didn't realize how scared I was of sharks until I got older. I was kind of the opposite of you. Once I got older, then I didn't want to go in the water anymore. When I was younger, I used to do stupid stuff. Like, we lived in Houston growing up, so we'd always go to the beach in Galveston. My dad and I, we would just run our feet along the bottom and go dive down and pull up crabs whenever we hit one with our foot. Today, and we would go super deep out in there. I don't go past my waist now.
Oh yeah,
out in the water.
I don't either.
And so it's had an effect on me later in life, and I'm always watching Shark Week. You know, I watch every single one of those new ones. I love those. And Jaws was what a great movie, and the way it just destroys that boat. To think of an animal being able to do that, and the thing is, these are real animals. You know, they don't necessarily get 25, 30 feet. I think the biggest great white is probably about 22 feet. But still, that's ridiculously huge, weighing like a ton or more.
Oh yeah.
So powerful animal that if you get bit by, you're probably not coming back from. It's taking something something with it at least. You know, so and then one of the things, you know, I'm really into paleontology, and there's another shark called the megalodon, a prehistoric shark, and you'll find teeth, and they're like, one of their teeth is like the size of my hand. This shark was basically a great white, but it was like 40 feet long, ginormous. It had a mouth span of like 6 feet, up and down. So
it was pretty much Jaws then.
Yeah, basically it was Jaws. So real life Jaws. So.
And the music in that movie is second to none. Oh, it was great. Suspense of the music. Oh, that made the movie.
Music is key in building suspense in that movie, definitely. Okay, well, I guess we're about ready to wrap it up. Do you have some
honorable mentions? Absolutely.
Honorable mentions. All right.
Yeah, we've got Child's Play.
I'm sorry. I have all those movies, but I can't. I watch them for a laugh, I guess.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I was 6 years old the first time I saw it. The first one, yeah. Second one, no. Third one, eighth, no. But yeah, I love the first one. Of course, the Friday the 13th, the Halloweens, Pet Sematary. Probably another great zombie movie, The Serpent and the Rainbow. And finally, Cujo.
Okay, that's a good one. For me, Friday the 13th, 1 through 3, thought were good. After that, I didn't really care for them too much. Maybe 7. Maybe I like 7. The Halloween 1 and 2, I like the first 2. The rest I didn't like. And probably the least of all was this newest Rob Zombie H2, Halloween 2. I hated that one. It was garbage. And 28 days later, 28 weeks later, but you have 28 weeks on your list. Night of the Living Dead, again with my zombie obsession.
Ooh, The Blob. Don't forget The Blob.
The Blob was good. The original Count Dracula, not the remake with the one done in 2000 with Keanu Reeves. God, he was a terrible actor in that movie. Was it even? I don't know. It wasn't 2000. It was earlier than that, wasn't it? In the 90s?
It was the 90s, yeah.
It was. Yeah, I can't say enough bad things about Keanu Reeves in that movie. Like, I like him in a lot of his other movies, which a lot of people don't.
Sure. Oh yeah, he's great.
But I hated him in that movie. Yeah, I think that'll about do it for me.
That's enough. I'm sure we're leaving off a few, but that's all right.
We probably are. We'll think of them later when we listen to it. But thanks for joining us this week, and be sure to tune in next week when we have our next nerd list. Until then, bye.
Peace out.